There were a number of exchanges.
Oh God, now I know why.
And the coffee. Coffee's very good. All right, we'll say good morning. Let's begin. Today's daf is daf Tes Vav 15. Let's pick up from the Mishnah Yud Dalid Amud Beis Makom Shenagu Limkar Behemadaka. Suppose we have a fascinating sugi ahead of us. I want to thank Rabbi Richter and Rabbi Liber for giving the shir over the last couple of days. Our shir this morning is dedicated. The daf this week is sponsored by Ayala and Sarah Steinberg as a zechus for the Refuah Shalema for Shulamis Bas Susha. You're up there in the Merit of our Talmud Torah. She together with Kol Cholei Yisrael will have a complete and enduring Refuah. Well, so let's begin. We have a dramatically amazing sugya ahead of us. Says the Mishnah. Both say Yudalid Amud Beis 14b, about 12 lines up from the bottom. Makom Shenagu Limkar Behemadakula of Diko Chavim Mochrim. So we'll say in the place where they have the custom, where they have the minhag to go ahead and sell a behemadaka. What's a behemadaka? Behemadaka is a smaller animal. What we'll call small animals. So where they have the minhag to go ahead and sell a behemadaka to an akum, to an idolater, you can do that. Mochrin. Makom Shenagu Shlo Limkar in Mochrin. We'll say a place where they don't sell small animals to akum, we don't sell. Ubechol makom, and I will say in all places, in mochrin lahem behimagasa. In all places, we do not go ahead and sell to an akum a behimagasa, large animals. Rashi says over here, why not? Again, we're going to get into the reasons for all this stuff in the Gemara, but take a look at Rashi. Ubechol makom in mochrin lahem behimagasa, mipnei shemiyuchados l'malacha, va'osa behemto malacha b'shabbos. Rashi already gives us a little bit of a teaser, because larger animals are primarily used for work, for labor, and one may come to use the Jew's animal for work on Shabbos. And we'll discuss the idea that on Shabbos I have an obligation to rest and my animals are precluded from doing malacha as well. We'll get into the specifics of this as well. So we'll say, what are examples? What are examples ultimately again of larger? So agalus muslachim, calves. Egel is a calf. Sayach, I will say, is a foal, a young donkey. Shleimin ushavurin. Whether they are whole, meaning whether they are complete, or ultimately again whether they are broken. Take a look at Rashi for just a moment. Agalu musyachim shleimin ushavurim. Vafilu shvurim sheinan ruyin l'malacha. I will say even a quote unquote broken animal, which is not fit for malacha. Gazru b'hu rabbanon dilma asi lach lufei va'azi lemizban lehu gedolim ushlim ruyin l'malacha. So we're concerned that the Mishnah seems to be saying once there's a prohibition on selling large animals to an akum, so we don't sell even these are animals that are used for labor. We won't sell even quote unquote broken animals, which are not fit for labor, lest you come to sell complete, whole, healthy animals. Again, we'll explore all of this in the Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda Mate B'Shura, Rabbi Yehuda says no, you can go ahead and sell a quote unquote broken animal, which we'll say means an animal which is not fit for work. Ben Beseira Mate B'Sus, and Ben Beseira says ultimately you could sell a horse. You could sell a horse. What's different about a horse? Rashi says, Shein melachto ela l'rechiva. It will say horses were not usually animals that were used for labor. Rather, they were used for riding. Urechiva shvosi, the lav melacha mishum dechai no seis atzmo. So we'll say ultimately again, as we will see, so riding on an animal is not a biblical prohibition, it is a rabbinic prohibition, what's called the shvus, for reasons that we'll see. Therefore, Ben Beseira holds that one could sell a horse to an akum. Okay, so we'll say we'll explore the parameters of all of these halachas in the Gemara. Let's begin. Gemara, Lememra. So we'll say we're going to start with behemadaka. Selling, so the Mishnah says that in a place where the local custom is to sell a behemadaka, a small animal to a Gentile, one is permitted to do so. But if the minhag is not to sell, then we don't do so. So says the Gemara, Lememra, di isura laka minhagahu diika. So are you telling me now, says the Gemara, that this is all about minhag? There's no isra to sell a behemadaka. It's all just about the minhag, and therefore, heicha denoig isr noig, wherever the minhag wherever, I should say, wherever there is a minhag to aser it, it is aser. Heichod dinog heter nog. Ultimately, again, and wherever again there is a heter to do so, so conduct yourself according to the heter. So in other words, the Gemara is just saying, are you telling me that there's no real isser? It's all just about the minhag hamakom. Or mini, is that really true? Listen to this. I will say, both say a Jew is not permitted to go ahead and stable his animal at the inn of an oved kochavim, right, of an idolater. Why? Because I will say the akum is suspect to engage in bestiality. Look at Rashi. So we'll say, so this is, again, I'm staying at an inn, I can't stable my animal with the akum, and have a concern of bestiality. Rashi says over here, this is amazing. So said, listen to this. Remember again, of the Sheva Mitzvahs, Bnei Noach is Arayas. So a Ben Noach also has to subscribe to a certain code of morality. And again, therefore, I'm not permitted to put a stumbling block before him. Apparently, going ahead and stabling my animal with him ultimately is placing a stumbling block because Ovdi Kochavim are suspect for engaging in bestiality. And I will say, let's just say a word about this. So understand, this is not Chazal making a disparaging statement about Ovdei Kochavim. When Chazal say that Ovdei Kochavim are nechshad on bestiality, that's because that's what was happening. This is not, and if you notice, by the way, they don't even use the word Nachri, they use the word Ovdei Kochavim. They were talking about whether this was part of certain idolatrous practices or just the idolaters were known to be exceptionally immoral. When you see something like this, this is Chazal being reactive to a reality which they are seeing with their own eyes. And therefore, ultimately, again, they are saying you cannot stable your animal with the akum. You cannot stable your animal with the akum, lest the akum engage in bestiality. And again, so why is that my problem? We'll say, you know what? Everything is always the Jew's problem, right? Why is it my problem? Because again, if I put my animal in his stable and he engages in bestiality, I'm in violation of lifnei iver, right? I've placed a stumbling block in front of him by putting literally my animal in his stable. Incredible. So the Gemara says, so we'll say, so you see over here this idea. So you see over here from this idea, that's what? That there is mamish and isser to go ahead and give over the animal to the akum. Amarav, no. Makum she'tir limkar etir liyachid. So Rav says they kind of go together. In a place where ultimately, again, there was permission to sell a behema daka to an akum, there's also a license to allow the akum to be alone with my animal. Makum she'asru liyachid, asru limkar. In a place where ultimately, again, the ovdei kochavim were nechshad on bestiality, so ultimately, again, there's also a prohibition to sell them the animal. So say it's the first interpretation. Top of Tessa. Rabbi Loza says no. We'll say this is what we're going to focus on. Af makom she'asru liyachid mutar limkar. Rabbi Loza says no. It's two different halachas. Rabbi say. Halacha number one is that I can't stable my animal with an akum because the akum is chashud ala raviyah, is suspect for engaging in an act of bestiality, and I, the Jew, will be in violation of lifnei iver lo sitei mechshal. This has nothing to do with selling. Even where there's a prohibition to stable my animal with the akum, I'm still permitted to sell. Why? My taima. Listen to this. Ovid kochavim chas al behemto shalo te'aker. Because the akum does not want his animal to become sterile. So as I said, I'm not exactly sure about the mechanics of this, but apparently engaging in bestiality sometimes has the negative impact of sterilizing the animal. So as much as the akum might engage in bestiality in someone else's animal, he's not going to engage in bestiality with his own animal, lest he go ahead and sterilize the animal, which would cause him a significant financial loss. So therefore, again, even in a place where there's the prohibition of yichud, quote unquote, there is no prohibition ultimately of selling the animal, because once it's his, we know that he's not going to violate the animal because he doesn't want it to become sterile. Va'af Rav Haderbe, even Rav say recanted his original position. Dom Rav Tachlif Rav Shila bar Avimi Mishmei Rav Ovid Kochavim Chas al Behemto Shelo Te'aker. So we'll say, bottom line, that seems to be the halacha that this is dependent on minhag hamakom. Where there was a minhag to sell an Ovid Kochavim Behem Daka, one could do so. Where the minhag hamakom to do it, not to do so, you don't do so. You follow whatever the minhag hamakom is, but there is no isser. Why is there no isser? We see that an Ovid Kochavim is nechshad, is suspect to engage in bestiality. That's only with someone else's animal. But he is not nechsha to engage in bestiality with his own animal, lest he go ahead and what? Sterilize it and thereby cause himself a loss of money. Ubechol makom, we'll say this is a very interesting sugya. Ein mochrin b'hem behemagasa. But we'll say in all places we do not sell behemagasa, which are large animals, to an akum. We'll say it's actually quite amazing. My timer. Now, what's the reason? Nehi de l'revi alochai shinon. So we'll listen to this. Now, our first reflexive reaction would be why? Why? When in doubt, bestiality. I mean, that didn't come out right. But you understand, meaning I would have thought that maybe again it's bestiality. So now we've taken that off the table. Why? Because Ovi Chachamim is not going to do that to his own animal because he's going to cost himself a financial loss. So now that I know that it's not a bestiality issue, so what's the issue? To which the Gemara says, I'll tell you why. So now that we've already established that I'm not choshish that the animals that the Ovi Kocham is going to engage in active bestiality with his own animal, ma'avid be malacha chashinon. What we're nervous about, I will say, is that what? Is that halacha lemaisa, maybe the Ovi Kochavim is going to work the animal on Shabbos. So the Gemara says, v'navid. Okay, what is that? I've sold me out. What does that matter to me? If the Oved Kochavim works an animal that I sold him on Shabbos, right? It's not mine. Kevan dezabna kanya. Once I sold the Oved Kochavim the animal, then it's his. Once it's his, then what? Rabbi say, remember again, just to take a step back, I as a Jew have an obligation of shvisas behemah, right? Which means my animals cannot do labor on Shabbos, right? We recite this ultimately again as part of Kiddush on Shabbos morning. My animals can't go ahead and do malacha on Shabbos. So the Gemara is saying maybe the reason I can't sell an akum is I can't sell an akum, a behemagasa, is lest he work it on Shabbos, and it's a problem for me. It's not a problem for me. It's not my animal anymore. It's his animal. Let him do whatever he wants with it. To which the Gemara says, you're right. Gezerah mishum she'ila u mishum schirus. Oh, I will say, listen to this. Here's what we're concerned about. The Mishnah seems to be saying, I as a Jew cannot sell a behemagasa to an akum. Why? Lest I come to lend lend a behemagasa to him, or to rent a behemagasa to him. But say, what happens if I lend or if I rent it to him? The havamina is that what Rabbi say. If you lend or you rent something, who is the titular owner, right? Who ultimately retains title to it? The Jew. If it's mine, and the akum is working it on Shabbos, then what? Then that problem is mine. Then my animal is working on Shabbos, which is problematic. Therefore, the Gemara is suggesting that the Mishnah therefore says you can't sell a behema gasa to an akum. Essentially, that's totally fine. But we prohibit that lest you come to rent it to the akum or to lend it to the akum. And under those circumstances, if the akum does work with the animal on Shabbos, that will be problematic because since I still retain title, it is my animal working on Shabbos. Says the Gemara, I don't understand. But I don't understand. When the akum borrows the animal, or if he rents the animal, he acquires it. As I will say, when you rent something, or when you borrow something, the renter or the borrower acquires that item. To which the Gemara, Rashi says over here, she'ila kanya, lemei she'ila, sadechevon dechayev ba'on sin, harihi shelo. So we'll say, so for example, again, the Rashi points out over here that if you are a shoel or you are a socher, if you are borrowing something or you're renting something, you're even chayiv for own sin. You're even chayiv for extenuating circumstances, which seems to indicate what? That you own the object. Even if you're borrowing it or even if you're renting it, you are the owner. If you are the owner, bless you, then even if you go ahead and you rent it and you work it on Shabbos, it should not be a problem for the Jewish owner. To which the Gemara says, I'll tell you like this. Both say, watch this. You're right. Rather, what's the issue? The issue is something different. The issue is, Rabbi say, if let's say again, I'm selling the animal to an akum, and the akum wants to take it for a test drive. Now, what does that mean? He wants to test it out. Rashi says, "Nisyune menasalo iazlo shaper kishituna." What does the akum want to see? Rabbi say, presumably the akum is buying a beast of burden. So what does he want to see? What does he want to see? He wants to see like how much could this animal carry? How much could the animal carry? So watch this. It could happen about say the following scenario. Maybe I'm going to be in negotiations with the akum on Erev Shabbos, and it's already getting dark. It's already close to Shkia. And what happens? And what's going to happen? The Akum says, okay, I'm almost ready to sign, but you know what? I'd like to do a test drive. I'd like to see how much the animal can carry. So let's see how much it can carry. And what happens? We load the animal up, and Rabbi say, what happens? So Rabbi say, the way I go ahead, so now my animal's loaded up, and I say, here boy, and what happens? The animal responds to my voice and carries the load as a result of my voice command. And again, of course, I am happy with the fact that the animal followed my voice command. I will say this. Now again, remember, all of this is happening when? Already now, at this point in time, we're into Shabbos. We started Erev Shabbos, but by this point in time, we're into Shabbos already, which means what's just happened? I have led a laden animal, albeit through my voice command, on Shabbos. And I will say, if you lead a loaded animal, even if it's not with your hands, but it's through your voice command, I will say, one is chayiv a chatos on Shabbos. And therefore, I will say, the Gemara suggests over here, this is called mechamer. Mechamer means, I will say, the act of leading a laden animal on Shabbos. So the Gemara here suggests that this is the issue. The issue is that we can't sell a behema gasa to an akum because of this very specific case, where there might be a business transaction that would occur on Erev Shabbos. Going into Shabbos, the akum's going to want to see what the animal could do. We're going to load up the animal. I'm going to call to the animal. The animal's going to move as a result of my voice command. And now I have been in violation of leading a laden or a loaded animal on Shabbos, which is a violation of Shisas Behima, Isra D'Oraisa, and I'm going to be Chayiv B'chatos. And I will say, because of this one little unique potential case, there's a rabbinic prohibition to sell a Behima Gasa to an akum. So says the Gemara, let's take a step back. So remember again, when we spoke about the issue, so you both say, originally the Gemara thought that the issue was what? The issue was rentals. That was really the issue. Rentals or borrowing, right? Or lending. Because then what happens is if I lend or I rent the animal to the akum, I am still the owner. Which means if the akum goes ahead and uses that animal on Shabbos, then what Rabbi say? That's a problem, because that's my animal working on Shabbos. Now the Gemara quickly dismissed that possibility by saying that what? No, because when a person borrows something, a person rents something, what happens? They own it. So the Gemara now revisits that. Is that true? That when you rent something, you become the owner of that object? Listen to this. We'll say, even we're going to get into this. A lot of very exciting Gemaras ahead of us. Like it's really gives you like excitement. You feel it. Sometimes when you feel excitement building in you and you don't know what it is, it's Avoda Zara. I don't mean it's Avoda Zara. I mean like it is this Gemara. It's like good times are coming. Well, say, so watch this. So let's listen to this. We will discuss something very interesting, which is we'll discuss the idea that there are certain prohibitions about renting homes to non-Jews in Eretz Yisrael, which I will say is a general discussion about going ahead and giving or selling property to non-Jews in Eretz Yisrael, which again is a major, we'll call it theological, political discussion about what rights we have over the land in general. So if you look at Rashi just a moment, Rashi says, "Af b'makom hachi katan v'maslisin i maskirin bat meretzav b'chutzarts maskirin v'makom shom lahaskir lo lebeis yos." Well, so listen to this. Back to the Gemara. So we will discuss the idea that there's a certain prohibition against going ahead and renting homes to non-Jews in Eretz Yisrael. So af b'makom shom lahaskir, even in a place where there is permission to rent a place to an akum in Eretz Yisrael, lo lebeis dira. We both say you can't go ahead and rent it as a damasal. Mr. Schoenfeld, good morning. Welcome back. Baruch Rofei Cholim. Welcome back. Good to have you back. So says the Gemara, so even in a place where ultimately, again, they said that you could rent a space to an akum, so what? So you can't rent a place to live. Lo lebeis dira. We both say you can't go ahead and rent it as a domicile. Why? Why, Rabbi saying? Because at the end of the day, we're concerned that the akum is going to bring idolatry. Meaning, if it's his home where he's living, we're concerned that he's going to bring idolatry in there. For 1 second, I don't understand. If you tell me that when you rent something, the renter becomes the owner, Rabbi say, then what? even if the akum brings in avodah zara, whose home is he bringing it into? His own. Or the Mishnah seems to be saying that even if you're allowed to rent something to an akum, you can't rent him a place to live. You can't rent him your place for him to live in. Why? Because if he lives there, he's going to bring in as avodah zara. I don't understand. If when you rent something, you own it, let him bring in as avodah zara. Who cares? It's his space. It's not mine. To which the Gemara says, "Shani avodah zara is different. Dichamira, because avodah zara ultimately again is more machmir than anything else. Tichsiv v'lo savi so'eva el beisecha." So the point essentially, because it says don't bring an abomination into your home. So we'll say, so bottom line, what the Gemara says is you can't bring a raya from here because avodah zara in general is something separate. So avodah zara is more chomer than anything else. And even if you want to say that when I rent my home to an akum, he becomes the owner. When it comes to avodah zara, there should be no connection to avodah zara to me at all. And even if the akum is the actual quote unquote owner during the days of the schirus, there should still be no avodah zara there. To which one wants, okay, so let's ask a different question. Maskiv Rav Yitzchak Bar Rabbi Shmuel was schirus mikanya. Both sides, is that true when someone rents something that they become the owner of it? V'hatna, we learned. We'll also listen to this. Yisol shesachar para mikohen. Listen to this case. I rent a cow from a kohen. Obviously, if I rent it, I have to what? I have to feed it. So watch this. I say to myself, this is great. Because we'll say, you know what? It happens to be that I have some truma in my house that I have not yet given out. Right? So what happens? So this cow is the cow of a kohen. Let me go ahead and feed the cow truma. To which the Gemara says, Shisol shesachar para mikohen, yachilenu kashnei truma. I could do that. I could feed the Kohen's cow that I rented truma. The Kohen shesachar para mi Yisrael. Similarly, again, if a Kohen rented a cow from Yisrael, sa'afa pisha mizono sa alav, lo yachilenu kashnei truma. If a Kohen rents a cow from Yisrael, he can't feed it truma. So what do you see from here? If you say that when you rent something, then what? You really own it. Then amai lo yachilena para didei. Amai lo yachilena para didehi. If you hold that when you rent something, you become the owner, then what? Then if the Kohen rents a cow from a Yisrael, what should he be able to feed it? Truma. To which the Gemara says, Elo shmamino schiros lo kanya. We'll say, here we go, 180. Right? Rather, you're right. We made a mistake before. When you rent something or when you borrow something, renting or borrowing, Rabosai, does not affect ownership. Renting or borrowing allows you to do what? Gives you what, Rabosai? Usage. But it is usage without ownership. And therefore, again, halacha l'maisa, schiros lo kanya, she'ela lo kanya, you have the right to use it, but you don't have ownership over it. So therefore, Rabosai, now that we've said that, Rabosai, now the Mishnah takes on a whole different light. Now that you've just told me that renting does not affect ownership, so gzeira mishum schirus, gzeira mishum sheila, gzeira mishum nisyone. Both say now I understand. Now when the Mishnah says that you can't go ahead and sell a behema gasa to an akum, a large animal to an idolater, both say now I understand that it's really on account of three things. It's on account of both say that's what if you sell it, so first of all, in the case of sale. Dealing with the sale itself, what are we concerned about? We're concerned about a transaction that may occur on Erev Shabbos, and because these are beasts of burden, it would be normal for the purchaser, who is the akum, to want to see what the animal could do before he goes ahead and purchases it. The Jew may load it up and may ultimately again call out to it to move it, cause it to move laden, which is working the animal, and that may occur on Shabbos itself. Because of that, he can't sell. In addition to that, there's another layer to the Gzeira. We prohibit to sell lest you come to what? Lest you come to rent or to lend. Renting and lending could be in a true acute problem, I will say, because again, when I rent and when I lend something, I, the owner, still retain title. If that's the case, if the akum takes my animal that I rented or I lent it, and the akum works that animal on Shabbos, then what, I will say? Then what? Then again, I am chayiv for ultimately, again, violating the rest of my animals, so to speak. Right? I am chayiv for violating shvisas behema, causing the animal to rest on Shabbos. Good. So we'll say, so again, we're not finished with this yet. We're going to explore this a bit more. So Gemara goes weiter. Ravacha, Shari Zabonei Chamra Ida de Safsira. Let's listen to this. So Rav Ada allowed a Jew to sell an animal. We'll say Safsira is a broker. Rashi says, ayidei sirsur Yisrael, v'hamocher nami Yisrael. So we'll say, so ultimately, the halacha is that Rav Ada allowed me to give over my animal to a broker, and the broker could sell it to whoever he wants. Why? What's happening over here? So the Gemara says, we'll say there is no concern about the issue of maybe test driving out the animal on Erev Shabbos, and the animal responding to a voice command and carrying the burden. Why? Because who's selling the animal? The broker. Right? The animal does not know the broker's voice, and therefore the animal will not respond to the voice commands of the broker. Therefore, the nisyuni issue is off the table. Furthermore, I will say the broker is not empowered to rent or to lend. The broker is empowered only to what? To sell. And therefore, va'od mishum delo nigli beimuma. Furthermore, I will say the broker has no intention, has no interest in selling or lending. Why I will say? Because the longer you hold on to the animal, the greater the possibility that what? That the potential purchaser may discover a mum, may discover some type of defect. It is in the broker's best interest to what Rabbi say? Sell the merchandise as quickly as possible. Therefore, again, interestingly enough, Rav Ada felt that there was a way kind of to sidestep this issue, which is just don't sell the animal yourself. Give it to a broker. Once you give it to a broker, Rabbi say the broker can sell it to whoever he wants. There's no issue of nisyone because there's no voice recognition from the broker. Broker is not empowered to lend or to sell and doesn't want to lend or sell because that can compromise his ability to sell. Therefore, again, because all of the issues or all of the concerns are taken off the table, one could give the animal over to a broker. The broker could sell to Jew or non-Jew alike. Rav Huna Zavana he power the Ovi Kochavim. Rav Huna sold a cow to a particular akum. Amr Rav Chisda, my time Avad Marhachi. So Rav Chisda said, "What are you doing?" We'll say, so what's happening over here is Rav Huna seems to be acting in direct violation of the Mishnah. The Mishnah says that a Jew is not permitted to sell a behema gasa to an akum. Yet Rav Huna goes out and sold a cow, which is a behema gasa, to an akum. So Rav Chisda says, "What are you doing?" Amarle, Emer l'shchita zavna. I don't understand. Maybe he bought it ultimately to shecht it. In other words, remember Rabbi say the whole issue over here of selling an animal to an akum, Rabbi say, is what? Right? We'll see. It's here. Interestingly enough, if you notice, the issue over here is not even as much Avoda Zara. The issue over here is we're concerned that if you sell an animal, he may come to lend an animal or rent an animal, and the animal may end up doing work on Shabbos. This is not as much an Avoda Zara issue as much as it is a Hilchos Shabbos issue. What Rav Huna is saying is that's only true if the person is purchasing the animal for work purposes. Maybe the guy's buying it for shechita. Maybe he's just buying it for to eat. And therefore, if he's buying it to eat, then what? All the other issues are avid. Look at the last Rashi in the daf. In other words, why can't I assume that the reason he's purchasing it is for meat? Listen to this. It could be at the Mishnah's case. This is the way Rav Huna is understanding it. That the way ultimately again that the Mishnah's case is also talking about like a horse. So it's behemoth tmeya. It really means like a horse or a donkey, which are animals that are not normally consumed. They're work animals. So therefore, again, the Mishnah says you can't sell a work animal to an akum because there under that circumstance we have all of the issues of nisyune, of renting, of borrowing. But Rav Huna is saying I'm selling him a consumption animal. So therefore, why can't I make the assumption that maybe he's buying it for shechita purposes? How do we know, Rabbi, that we can make this type of assumption? That maybe he's buying it for shechita, to which the Gemara says, Rashi says, Umina Temra, Tehecha di'ika lemisle b'mechira, delifne iver, talinar lekula. Rabbi say, how do I know that in a case where essentially I have two potential scenarios? Right? I could rely on the more makel scenario. In other words, I could rely on the scenario which allows me a bit more wiggle room in this scenario. To which the Gemara says, "This now, listen to this." Beishamai says, you can't sell someone a cow that is used for plowing during the Shemitah year. Or as well, let me say it a little bit differently. You can't sell on the Shemitah year a cow that's normally used for plowing. What is Beis Shammai concerned about, Rabbi Osai? Why is somebody buying a plowing cow on a Shemitah year? To plow, right? And therefore what? If I sell him the cow, I'm in violation of Lifnei Iver. That's Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel Matirin. Beis Hillel says, no, you can. Why? Because Because ultimately, because I could assume that even though this cow is normally used for plowing, I don't have to assume that he's going to use it for plowing. I could assume that what? That he's going to use it for shechita. He's going to shecht it. He's going to eat it. Amar Rabba. So I'll say, you see from here that what? That when you have two potential, we'll call it projected scenarios, you could choose the more kula one, you could choose the more kal one, the more lenient one, that allows you to go forward transactionally. Amar Rabba, so Rabba says, well, you can't really compare the two cases. I'll tell you why. So first of all, Rashi points out over here that this is Yisrael HaChoshud al Shvius. Lo Yimkor Lo Chaver Rabba said, he's actually talking about Dafka, a case of a Jew who is known to violate Shemitah. A Jew is known to violate Shemitah. So Beis Shammai says, if you know he's known to violate Shemitah, you can't sell him the cow. Beis Hillel says, yes, you can, because who's to say that he's buying it to plow? Perhaps he's just buying it to eat. Amar Rabba says, no. Me dummy. How can you compare the cases? Hasam in Adam Mitzuva al Shvizas Bem Dobashiyas. When it comes to the Shemitah year, there is no obligation to give your animals rest on the Shemitah year. So, however, therefore, I could sell the animal because at the end of the day, I could rely on the fact that he's going to use it for shechita. That's a bit different. That's a bit different than the previous case. Ultimately, again, where we have to be concerned that if you come to sell the animal, you may come to also rent or lend animals, in which case, again, I could violate the Isser Dorais of Shvisas Behema. There is a real issue. So who's to say that in the sale of the animal to the Akum, I can rely on the fact that he's going to shecht it? To which the Gemara says, Hacha Adam Mitzuva Shvisas Bem Tom Shabbos. In this case, I have it tzivoy regarding my animal. Amar le Abaye, V'chol heicha da Adam Mitzuva Aser. Is that true wherever a person is commanded regarding the rest of a particular object? He can't rely on the more lenient scenario to allow him to progress transactionally. V'hari sada. Listen to this. Listen to the case of the field. The Adam Mitzuva Ashviz Hasadeh B'Shvius. I'm commanded to allow my land to lay fallow during the Shemitah year. Utnan. So again, I am obligated in Shvisas Sadeu. New term, Shvisas Sadeu. I am obligated to allow my land to lay fallow during the Shemitah year. What did we learn? Beis Shammai Omrim. Lo yimkar adam sadanir b'shvius. Beis Shammai says you can't go ahead and say sadanir is a plowed field, which means a field that is ready to go ahead and be planted. So I can't sell on the Shemitah year a plowed field to another Jew. Rashi says over here, because ultimately I'll be in violation of lifnei iver lo sitei mechshol, placing a stumbling block in front of someone. Beis Hillel says, yes, I can. Why? Because at the end of the day, the Jew, even who I'm selling it to, could just leave it alone, could leave it fallow. In other words, just because it's plowed and ready for planting doesn't automatically mean that it's going to be planted. So once I say, see over here a case, I am obligated to make sure that my field lays fallow. Yet we still see that I'm permitted to go ahead and even sell it to a Jew who is chashud al shvius, to sell it to a Jew who is known to violate Shemitah, because there is a possible scenario where it's going to be fine. What's possible scenario is going to be fine? He's just going to leave it fallow. So you see from here that where there are multiple possible scenarios, I am permitted to rely on what we'll call the most lenient scenario that allows me to move forward with the transaction. Maskif Ravashi. So Ravashi says, telling me that in any case where ultimately, again, a person is not obligated to maintain the rest, or I should say, to allow for the rest of a particular object or entity, that he is permitted to progress transactionally. Actually, we saw this in Masech Shabbos, that there is no obligation of shvisas kelim on Shabbos, which means, Rabosai, that my utensils don't have to be at rest on Shabbos. Right? Rabosai, what's the proof that my utensils don't have to be at rest on Shabbos? Cholent, right? All comes back to the cholent. Excellent. See, Mr. Schoenfeld, he's been learning while you're gone. I just want to point out, even while you weren't here, he's been learning. So let's say, cholent is a perfect example. Meaning, again, if there was an obligation of shvisas kelim, then what? It means my utensils couldn't do malacha on Shabbos. We hold as long as that malacha begins before Shabbos, my utensils could work for me on Shabbos. So listen to this. Even though, again, there is no obligation for my utensils to come to rest on Shabbos, utanan, but we learned, we'll say these are the utensils. I'm sorry, this actually is talking about not Shabbos, this is talking about Shemitah. So we'll say even though my land has to remain fallow, my farming utensils, so to speak, don't have an Isra Malacha. Yet, what did we learn? These are the utensils that you can't sell on the Shemitah year. What are they? Hamacharisha, a plow, v'chol keleha, and all of these supporting utensils for the plow. Ha'ol, a yoke, v'ha mizara, shovel, v'ha deker, again a hoe. So we'll say, what do you see from here? All of these utensils, ultimately, again, which are used for farming, you can't go ahead and sell during the Shemitah year. Rav Ashi says as follows: Kol heicha diika lemisli talina. Look at Rashi. Just we'll say it's right across from Rashi. It's right across from the Gemara. Kol heicha diika lemisli kigon behema v'sadenir desada adam kofes liknoso mishum deino matzoi lo kol shah liknos mishum shasa dilakaman kazal. So listen to this. In any case where you could formulate an alternate scenario that is not prohibited, you could rely on the more lenient scenario. We'll say, but in any case where there is no alternate scenario, so you can't make up an alternate scenario, even if you're not mitzvah on the rest of that object. So we'll say, so for example, using this logic, can I sell a behema gasa to an akum? Can I sell a behema gasa to an akum? Yes. Why? What's the alternate scenario? Shchita. Can I sell a plowed field to a Jew who's chashud ala shvius? The answer is yes. Why? He could leave it fallow. Can I sell a shovel to a Jew or a plow to a Jew on the Shemitah year? No. Why? I will say. Oh yeah, you can use it as a paperweight, right? So no, because I will say that is not a legitimate alternate scenario. I will say that at the end of the day, there are certain things for which you cannot formulate an alternate. And now, again, we'll see there might be exceptions to this rule. If it's cheap, right? If it's a fire sale. But okay, we'll get into the more specifics of this. But that's the idea. Wherever there is a legitimate alternate scenario, then I could rely on the alternate scenario to move forward transactionally. Wherever there is no alternate scenario, I cannot move forward transactionally. We'll say, listen to this. Rabba, Zavanu Chamerli Yisrael Choshed Limkol Ovikcham. Listen, watch this. Rabba sold a donkey to Yisrael who was known to sell to Ovdei Kocham. So we'll say it was a Jew. It was a guy. So first of all, I just want to point out that you see already something very interesting. It's actually very exciting because you begin with a Mishnah that seems to say like a low plug. Everybody agrees. What's the low plug? You can't sell a behema gasa to an akum. You can't sell a large animal to an idolater. Now, what did we just see? Rav Huna sold a large animal to an akum. Why did Rav Huna sell a large animal to an akum? I'll say the shchita. I could assume there's actually so okay. So now, first of all, this is dramatically amazing because okay, what do I do with this now? I have a Mishnah and I have Rav Huna. I love them both. I love the Mishnah and I love Rav Huna. So we'll say so again, but they're saying two opposite things. So again, don't worry, we're going to get to the reconciliation of it tomorrow. But watch this. We're not finished. We're going to build up a little bit more. What's the next case? Rabba sold a donkey to a Yisrael who was chashul limkar la'avodas chum. So we'll say what happens. So Rabba sold his donkey to another Jew, and it was known this Jew sold behemos gasos to akum, to idolaters. So listen to this. Amar Abaye, my time of Marhachi. So Abaye says, Rebbe, why did you do this? Right? Why did you sell to this Jew? Amar Ani Yisrael Zabini. So say, Rabbi said, I don't understand. I sold to a Jew. I didn't sell to an akum. I sold to another Jew. Right? But at the end of the day, you know that he's going to sell. Chances again, maybe this guy was a broker or whatever it was. Again, I will say, the classic case of a broker, I will say, when the Gemara talks about a broker like a sirsar before, the way brokerage worked was as follows. That the broker would often agree to get a certain price ultimately for the item. If the broker was able to make more money, so the broker that was the broker's commission, or he got some other kind of commission, but the broker didn't buy the object from the owner. So the owner authoritative. This case, I will say, this guy might have been a broker, but Lamais at the end, the Rabbi sold it to him. So Abai says, Rabbi, how did you do this? Rabbi says, what are you talking about? I sold it to a Jew. To which the Gemara says, but one second, the Ovi Kochavim Kamazbin. Excuse me. Rabbi, you know that what this guy does, what this Jew does, is he gets the animals and he sells it to an Oved Kochavim. To which Rabbi says, listen, Lo Oved Kochavim, Mazbin, Li Yisrael, Lo Kamazbin. You tell me that he only dafka sells to idolaters? And if a Jew were to come along and offer him a good price, he wouldn't go ahead and sell to that person. Also, in other words, he's not a bashitanik. It just happens to be, I guess, Ovdei Kochavim don't bargain as hard, But he happens. So he normally sells to Ovdei Kochavim. But you tell me that but it's not bashita. It's not bashita that he only sells to the Ovdei Kochavim market. He sells to whoever's willing to pay. It happens to be his last couple of transactions with Ovdei Kochavim. But if he were to find a Jew, he would also sell. So we'll say it's very much like the same logic of Rav Huna. Like Rav Huna was saying before, yes, I'm going to sell the animal to Ovdei Kochavim. Why? For shchita. This Yisrael, the fact that he happens to do a lot of business with the Ovdei Kochavim doesn't mean that he has an exclusive with the Ovdei Kochavim. He would also sell to Jews as well. So let's analyze this. Esvei, Makom Shinagulim Karbei Madaka Lakusim Mochrin. So we'll say in a place where they have the minog. So we'll say what Rabbah seems to be saying is that you could sell the animal to a Jew, even if you know that he's going to sell to a non-Jew. Why? Because presumably if the opportunity to sell to a Jew would come along, he would take that opportunity as well. So since there is a possibility that he's going to sell to a Jew as well, therefore you could sell it to that Jew, even though again normally he sells to non-Jews. So I should say non-Jews, idolaters, because most of this is din and idolaters. So the Gemara goes right. Let's analyze this. So we'll say where there's a minhag to sell small animals to kusim. Remember again the kusim. The kusim come up every once in a while. The kusim are these individuals who were resettled in Eretz Yisrael by Shalmaneser, the king of Ashur. When they were settled, ultimately again they were worshiping idolatry. Outbreak of lions in Eretz Yisrael, they convert. Their conversion is always subject to some type of suspicion, because was it legitimate or not? Therefore, kusim have like this quasi-Jewish status. So watch this. See, where there's a minhag to sell a behemoth daka to kusim, you could sell. Sholim karei mokrim, but if the minhag is not, you don't. My taimo. Ilema mishum dechashidi aravia. So maybe you'll say it's because they're also nechshad in bestiality, like we said by the Ovdei Kochavim. Umi chashidi. You'll say, is that true? Right? Are kusim suspect to engage in bestiality? Vatanya. So we learned this before. You cannot stable your animal in the pudunk, in an inn of an Ovdei Kochavim. Zecharim eitzel zecharim. That's true. Male animals by male Ovdei Kochavim. Or in a kavos eitzel in the kavos. Female animals by female Ovdei Kochavim. Vein tzarich lomer in a kavim in the kavos eitzel zecharim. All the more so, female animals by male Ovdei Kochavim. Or zecharim eitzel in the kavos, or male animals by female Ovdei Kochavim. So we'll say again why? Because they're nechshad and bestiality. The Ovdei Kochavim are suspect to engage in bestiality. Therefore, we saw both. This is how we started the daf today. Therefore, again, you can't stable your animal with the Ovdei Kochavim. Ve'ein, similarly, motion behema l'roshan. And we'll say also, you can't give over your animal to a Ovdei Kochavim shepherd. What are we concerned about? We'll say same thing, bestiality. Ve'im yachad in iman. Now we'll say we're going to discuss this. One should not be alone with an Ovdei Kochavim. Why not? Says Rashi. Rashi says, "In yachdin iman shechashid ashvichos damim," because I will say the Ovdei Kochavim is nechshad to murder a Jew. So we'll say therefore he can't be alone with Ovdei Kochavim. Ve'im moser lahem tinok lalamdo sefer ulamdo umnos. You should not give over your children. And I will say this would also be in a situation of yichud, to go ahead and teach them general knowledge. Lamdo sefer means to teach them general knowledge. Ulamdo umnos, to teach them a trade. And I will say Rashi says over here, demashchile leminos. One, because there is a spiritual danger of giving your child over to the akum to learn anything, because ultimately, again, he may be drawn to minos, tapikarsus, v'omishum mishkav zachar. But the other possibility is, unfortunately, the child may be violated by the akum. And therefore, again, you can't go ahead and give over your child to learn from the akum either. We'll discuss these halachas in greater depth. But here's our point. But I will say, I can go ahead and stable my animal by kusim. Zecharim eitzel in the kavos, and the kavos is a zecharim, whether that's male animals by women or female animals by men. And I can give my animal over to a kusi shepherd, and I can be alone with a kusi. I can give over my child to learn by a kusi, to learn general knowledge, and to learn a trade. I will say, so what do you see from here? Alma lo chashidi. The idea over here is that, what's the take-home message of Osai? A kusi is not suspect to engage in bloodshed or in bestiality. Va'otanya, Furthermore, we learned. All right, well, so you know what? We'll have to. All right, we'll stop over here by the Odva. I'm sorry. So we'll stop over here today. We'll say, I know I'm stopping in mid sentence. We'll pick up over here in Meretz Hashem too. We'll pick up over here in Meretz Hashem tomorrow. So I'll say, I know I'm leaving you on a little bit of a cliffhanger. So remember again, just to understand where we're leaving off. We're leaving off in the middle of a story of Rabbah. So Rabbah goes ahead and he sold the animal to Yisrael, who he knew was going to sell it to an Oved Kochavim. Rabba's logic was what Rabbi was saying? Rabba's logic was, just because he normally sells to an Akum doesn't mean he's going to sell to an Akum now. Maybe he'll sell to a Jew. So the Gemara will say is going to, this whole proof about the Kusim we're going to see is going to try to refute Rabba's practice. In Meretz will pick up with Od Sanya tomorrow. Shkoyach.